Hi, Professor. My project is on hate crime prevention strategies by the Clifton Police Department. I chose the Clifton Police Department because I am very familiar with Clifton, New Jersey. This is where I graduated high school. This is where my kids live, where they go to school, where I've worked. And I have been living here since I was 16. So I have a very strong background to Clifton. I feel very knowledgeable of the area, the culture, the people, the police department especially. We are a close, tight-knit community. I wanted to start off with my executive summary that basically outlines what I will be discussing in this video as well as in my presentation. I will discuss awareness campaigns, school-based anti-bias education, social media literacy initiatives, community policing, police training, improved reporting and victim support system and services, partnerships, and lastly, bystander intervention training. I will start off after I have finished outlining what I will be going over. I will start now with the community context on Clifton. Clifton is a very diverse urban and a little bit suburban community. And the reason why I say suburban is because Clifton does have an uptown Clifton. It's not called uptown, but it is like the opposite of downtown area where it's more houses. It's more of the restaurants and the stores, but not really like the downtown area of Clifton. We do have an area in Clifton called downtown Clifton, and it is more urban and industrial, and you see a lot of commuters, you see a lot of buses, transportation systems. It's very strong in that area. Clifton has different type of cultures, predominantly I want to say Muslim and Jewish people. We have a lot of Arabics in the area. We have a few blacks, a lot of whites, a lot of Hispanics. So it's a very diverse community. My proposal focuses on hate crime prevention, as mentioned earlier, and the community resistance within Clifton because of Clifton's large diversity. So that's why I chose Clifton as well, because it is a diverse area, but it's also not restrained to just urbanized area. I also wanted to give a little bit of background on why hate crime would be an issue in Clifton, and we've had incidents of hate crime in Clifton. One being newcomers moving in. Tensions tend to rise because new people have moved in. I am originally from New Jersey. I moved to Florida when I was 9 years old. I moved back to New Jersey when I was 16. So it's a huge difference. When I came back as a 16-year-old, I had never seen in Florida Muslim people. I didn't see hijabs. I didn't see Arabics people. I didn't even know that was a culture. So I was culture shocked to attend a high school, Clifton High School, and see females, girls wearing these hijabs. And I'm like, what is that? I've never seen that before. So to me, it was a culture shock. So I wanted to say that to say as an example why tensions would rise being newcomers coming in and feeling the way I felt, like, what is this? I've never seen this, So not everybody is willing to learn like how I was. Actually, my very first friend on the school bus was an Arabic Muslim girl, and she saw that I was sitting by myself on the bus, and she befriended me. After she befriended me, I got to know her. I got to know her family. I got to know more about the Muslim and the Arabic communities because, again, I am not familiar with it. So there's people out there that they don't want to educate themselves. They don't want to learn what's different to them seems either like a threat or an intimidation, or they just don't like it. So one of the incidents we had in Clifton was around, it's not a mosque, but it's a event center where they tend to throw parties, but it's Muslim related. So there's actually a shot spotter located at that particular location because of death threats that they have received within the last 2 years. And there is actually a mosque like down the street from me right now that they're actually renovating, and they also have a shot spotter. I am not sure if they have received threats or any disturbances that I'm aware of, but I do know that they also have a shot spotter there. We do have another town very close to Clifton that is in the borderline between Clifton. It's called Passaic Park, and it is a very strong Jewish populated area where a lot of Jewish people live, where they have their church services, where they have their kosher grocery stores. They commute there. So it's a lot of Jewish on that side. And there's also a lot of Muslim on the other side of Clifton. So Clifton would be, in my opinion, susceptible or vulnerable to hate crime because of the mosques, because of the Jewish and the Muslim population, which is another reason, again, why I chose to do my assignment on Clifton. I thought it was a perfect example to do my project on, to do my research on, because although Clifton is very diverse, because of its diversity, I feel like it would be an easy target to go after Muslim or Jewish people. In the layout of the Clifton Police Department in hate crime prevention strategies, the area focus would be my target audience. They would be youth or middle or high school students. And the reason why is because they are young. They tend not to be as aware, as knowledgeable, as educated as adults, let's say. A lot of them tend to be like how I was when I was 16, that I had no idea what a hate crime was or if a hate crime even existed. So in developing a hate crime prevention strategy by the Clifton Police Department, it would definitely be targeted to a youth population. And also for young adults, this could include ages between 18 to 25. My other target audience would be the school staff. This would include anybody inside of the school, the principal, the teachers. It's very important to educate teachers on hate crime and give them the resources that they need to better educate themselves and the students, because they are the main provider. They are the main people that get to see the kids on a daily basis, Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day, every day for 5 days in a row. So if anyone is a more suitable focus group, it would be the teachers, the educators, for the police to provide them with the resources so that they could teach their students. My other target audience would also include vulnerable populations, and this would be, in my case, in Clifton, it would be the Jewish and the Muslim communities, because they are minorities, because they are vulnerable to attacks. My next target audience would be parents. I'm a parent myself. It would be great to educate parents to better help and educate their children. Their child may be the target of a hate crime, or their child may be the main protagonist of a hate crime. So it works both ways. I feel like either way, it's still helpful, it's still useful, it gets the ball rolling, it gets the parent to share with other parents, and vice versa. My other target audience would include faith leaders, people that work in the mosques, people that work in the synagogues, people that work in churches, just any faith outreach programs. And the reason why it's important to speak to them about hate crime is because they might be vulnerable of an attack. So it's important for them to understand, number one, what a hate crime is, that it can possibly occur to them, and what to do in the event that it does occur to them. So it's more for their safety, but it also can help them educate the people that attend their services. My other area of focus is local business leaders. That would be supermarkets, any place, restaurants that sell merchandise or food. It would be important as a community, or even the police department, to be involved, to take the time to go inside of the stores and let them know what a hate crime is, and let them know what to do in the event that that does happen. Because again, we are a close-knit community here in Clifton, and it would be great for all of us to be on one accord, and for us to look out for one another. So it's very important to involve the community, and part of the community are local business owners. They would want to protect their business, right? They would want to protect their customers, as well as socialize with other local business owners. My other area of focus would be law enforcement. If there is a hate crime unit or a bias incident unit, it would be useful to get the whole police department on board to discuss hate crime, to discuss how to treat hate crime, how to treat victims of hate crime, how to identify all of those things that I will be discussing later on. My other area of focus would be social media users and online community groups. This is especially important because social media is very popular. So what's a great way to attract a large amount of people would be through social media, and going through online community groups to see what they're discussing and throw the discussion of hate crime out there. Another area of focus would be mental health providers. I think that it would be helpful to the public and to mental health providers to know what a hate crime is. So that way they can, if they ever come across someone displaying signs of resentment and aggression that is related to hate crime, and spelling out certain keywords, it would help them to maybe identify that this can be or turn into a hate crime. This person can become a perpetrator. The goals and objective of my hate crime prevention strategy by the Clifton Police Department would be to increase community understanding, improve reporting procedures, and encourage reporting, provide victim support, reduce normalization of discriminatory language and conduct, promote inclusion, reduce stereotypes, encourage empathy and civic responsibility, promote community policing, improve police's transparency, educate youth educate youth with conflict resolution and digital literacy strategies, discuss online hate and extremist messaging, promote youth leadership and peer accountability, implement school-based prevention strategies. These are my goals and my objectives. I do want to provide a little bit of background. So what I mean about increased community understanding is to really absorb and get an understanding of what hate crime is as a police department, so that way you could disseminate the information accordingly to the community and get everybody, neighbors, vendors, visitors, people that live there, help them understand what a hate crime is and how to identify it and how to report it. What I mean about improving reporting procedures is to come out with maybe anonymous tip hotlines or anonymous reporting, or maybe have a staff member that is knowledgeable and is better specialized and equipped to handle with incident or bias incident crimes. So that way they could better assist anybody coming to report a hate crime. Victim support. It's very important to provide resources for victims that come into the police department. So it's very important to be equipped. It's very important to be handy, to have things ready, to have updated numbers, updated contacts, information, addresses to places that they could go to for refuge or whatever it is that they need. Reduce normalization of discriminatory language and conduct. What I mean by that is, in school, maybe as an example, not allow certain comments to be okay. Like even if it's said in a joking manner, it could be taken out of proportion. It could be offensive to someone. So removing that altogether is is key. Promote inclusion. You want to get everyone on board, everyone of all races, all backgrounds, all cultures, get everybody to understand what hate crime is. If you need to produce this information in brochures in different languages, then that's what needs to get done so that everybody is on one accord. Reduce stereotypes. That's another goal, another objective. To reduce the stereotype that if you look a certain way, you're more likely to get targeted for a hate crime. Crime does not see color. So it's very important to get rid of the stereotypes. Encourage empathy. It's very important to try to get people to have empathy for others, especially when it comes to hate crime, because I feel like it's not something that a lot of people even know about or may seem to care about or may think that it's serious. Like how at the beginning of the course, I didn't really think that hate crime, because again, it doesn't happen as often as let's say domestic violence, suicide, murder, even arson and rape and robbery. It's not at the same scale. Like it doesn't happen as frequency, is not as common. But it is important to get people to have empathy and to feel like a civic responsibility, a civic duty to do something about it. If you see something going on, you don't have to intervene if you really don't feel comfortable, if you feel that you're at risk. But at least the minimal that you can do is to contact law enforcement so you can deploy help. To my other objective, to improve police's transparency. What I mean by that is to make sure that police do take accountability if they make a mistake, that they acknowledge their mistake, that they tried, that they put the effort to improve on their mistake, and that also that they are very clear on there's any standards or any objectives or any efforts, that they are very clear about it. Educating youth with conflict resolution. That basically means with working with youth populations to help them address hate crime in a healthy, productive way. providing digital literacy strategies is basically supplying them with knowledge of how to handle online hate, discuss online hate and extremist messaging. What is extremist messaging? It's important to also teach the community, as the Clifton Police Department, teach the community what extremist messaging means, what it is, what people do on it, why it's important to report it, the consequences of it, that type of nature. Promote youth leadership and peer accountability. It's basically that is another objective. It's to promote the inclusion of like youth, like young people still in schools, to take accountability for hate crime should it occur. Like not saying that they have to take accountability for something that they did not do, but take accountability if you see something happening, to take the initiative to do something about it. And then the last one that I named earlier was implement school-based prevention education strategies. And that basically is to, again, to educate staff on what hate crime is. So over here, I have, if you can see, written down, devise a plan. So once I have already outlined our executive summary, what I would be discussing, and I also outlined the objectives, now I will be discussing devising the plan. My mission statement or slogan, excuse me, my slogan will be called Clifton United Against Hate Crimes. And it's an education campaign. And my keyword messages are hate, and these are by me, this is not AI generated. Hate crimes are not tolerated in Clifton. Different backgrounds equal Clifton. Stop the hate. Support thy neighbor. Protect Clifton. Words matter. If you see something, say something. So those are my keyword messages. And then my tactics. How would the Clifton Police Department go about it? They would have quarterly meetings to discuss what's working, what isn't working, what to improve on, how to improve on it, what resources they need, what resources they don't need. That would happen. They can have town hall meetings where they can get the community to come out and express their concern or any feedback or suggestions. It provides engagement opportunities. Get posters out there, make brochures, have public service announcements, community storytelling, which basically means like maybe having a guest speaker discuss hate crime. Maybe not necessarily teach about hate crime, but maybe they can share an experience that they had with hate crime or an experience that they know someone else had with hate crime. Billboard or digital messages. This can be in the form of emails too. I signed up for the Clifton emails that go out where the Clifton Police Department and also the Clifton Department of Works, they sent me emails about different things related to Clifton. It could be about events. It can be about trash removal, recycling, those type of things. I feel like if there's a hate crime unit or a strategy implemented in the Clifton Police Department to address hate crimes, one way to get the message out there about hate crime would be through billboard, digital messages, like I said, emails. They can host workshops. I know Clifton has a department called the Clifton Recreation that my kids and I have, and even my dog, we have personally been involved in it. So that would be another place where I feel like they could create a workshop surrounded centered around hate crime. They can have lessons. The police department can host lessons, and they could also have training on hate crime. The police can also implement a school-based prevention strategy. This can include workshops. It can include classroom discussions between the teachers and students, or the police, the teachers, and the students. It can be in the form of a presentation on hate crime. It can include guest speakers, again, people that have experienced hate crimes, or just people that are knowledgeable of hate crimes, maybe someone that works in the hate crime unit. They could have field trips and go to mosques, synagogues, get them to learn about targeted or suspectable areas. And again, give them lessons, maybe not so much like a homework, but like a project on learning what hate crime is. Another initiative that the Clifton Police Department can do is create community events. They can have food vendors out there. They can have activities. They can have exhibits. They can have resource booths. And that would be like a table, a layout of all of the different brochures and contact information that people can go to if they're a victim of hate crime, how to report it, all of that information. They can have performances. People like to have fun. So I am pretty sure that people would come out for a good cause, but also to have fun. And this would be one great way to put it out there what hate crime is, if they host an event, like a block party. Another thing that the Clifton Police Department can do is officer training. They can help officers identify what a hate crime is. They can give them cultural awareness. They can give them bias indicators. What is bias? How do I know what a bias indicator is? What is that? LGBTQ plus awareness. It could give them training on victim interviewing, how to interview, what questions to ask, whatever is associated with interviewing a victim of a hate crime. Trauma-informed response. Public statement following an incident. Training police officers or the commissioner on what to say as a statement to the public following an incident. Patrolling targeted areas, as I discussed earlier, implementing the shot spotter or just increased patrol. Coordination with prosecutors, very important, with resource officers inside of schools, with civil rights organizations, and community advocacy. You want to have support from the community. If the community feels like they can trust the Clifton Police Department to do their due diligence, then they are likely to report a crime. The police department should give training on consequences of hate crime. What are the consequences of hate crime? They should develop forums where people can have discussions. They can create workshops. They can have anonymous, as I said earlier, anonymous reporting or anonymous tip system. I took a course at John Jay, and in my community policing class, I attended John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York for my bachelor's. As I live in New Jersey, I attended school in New York. One of the classes that I had was on community policing, and I do remember that my professor, a retired NYPD detective, she told me, well, she was teaching the class, that at the time, this was during where LGBTQ community wasn't that big as they are now, as acceptable, or, you know, awareness on that. So what she was saying back then is that officers had to learn, you know, for the future. One of the books that we were covering was discussing genders, and one of them was like gender X, where it was neither a male or a female, but it was just how they identified the gender was gender X. So the reason I'm using this as an example is because it's important for police officers to receive that training, because just like they did not know at the time how to address a she, a he, a they, a them, it's the same thing with a hate crime, how to identify a hate crime, how to make sure that you don't insult a culture, how do you make sure that you're sensitive and aware, because sometimes it's not so much sensitivity, but there are officers that lack the training on people's backgrounds and cultures. They are not familiar with hate crime or how to deal with that. Because again, it is a different type of crime, and it is not as common as the other crimes that they're used to. Social media. Another initiative that the Clifton Police Department can implement to target hate crime would be through social media. They could do, my slogan would be Voices for Clifton. They can create a page. A lot of police departments have pages online. Clifton Police Department can create a page and they can get their voice out there. They can be on all social media platforms where they upload, perpetrators' pictures. This is what they did. Do you recognize this person, and get the community, helping, providing tips, wanting to help, wanting to know more information or learn more information. They can also use the platform to post education videos. They could also do a myth versus facts, graphics, and information. So that way it could help decipher what is real, what is true about hate crimes, what isn't. And again, it's like the stereotypes. Bystander intervention tips, what to do if you witness a hate crime. Storytelling, again, it's another opportunity for storytelling. Youth created content. Youth like to see other youth, so what better way to garner their attention is through by creating videos made by young people. My other area that the police department can focus on educating, again, would be the faith outreach, and that would include the mosques, the churches, the synagogues, the temples, any place of worship. Helping them not only identify hate crime, but to have security assessments to see how safe is the temple, how safe are you keeping the public that is coming in. Provide workshops for the faith leaders so that they are also better equipped with knowledge. And emergency coordination. It's very important to have emergency coordination. How do we know if this hate crime prevention strategy by the Clifton Police Department is being equipped properly and is helpful? Through KPIs. They are called Key Performance Indicators. You can see that part there. They can have someone analyze matrix. They can count the amount of participants participating, coming out to their events. How many followers do they have on their social media? How many people are viewing their social media? Is anybody providing feedback? If they have an anonymous tip reporting system, is anybody providing tips on there? What are the amount of hate crime reports? Has hate crime reporting gone up? Has it stayed stagnant? Amount of officers trained? That's another way of keeping up with the KPIs. What are some of the ways that we can collect these assessments, right? Data collection methods can include surveys, statistics, social media analytics, participation record again, focus group, how many people are participating, through interviews, discussions, and feedbacks. Those are ways that we can see if the hate crime prevention strategy plan by the Clifton Police Department is working. I also included a timeline to see how long maybe this would take. The phase 1 would include planning. It takes time to build a coalition. It also takes time to fund. It takes time to find out who's going to fund, finding out partnerships, people willing to work with the Clifton Police Department, the Clifton Police Department developing the tools and materials to come out with these plans. It would be between 1 to 3 months. Phase 2 would be the pilot launch, and it would include the school outreach, the social media campaign outreach, and the community forums, and that would take between 4 to 6 months. Phase 3 would include implementation, workshops, conduct community events, and that would be between 7 to 18 months. And then phase 4, evaluation and revision as needed, which would include the KIPs, identify areas of need, and then the future. What does the future look like with this plan? Is this plan working? Should we get rid of it? Do we really need it? How helpful is it to us? How helpful has it been or not? And that would take between 18 to 24 months. Budget. The Clifton Police Department can gain their budgets through donations. They can host car wash or other events to help them collect money. They can collect money through federal and state grants. They can collect money through anti-hate crime funding, which is a thing I researched. They can have sponsorships supporting them. They can have event staffing and translation services. But the event staffing and the translation services are the areas where they would need the most money. And then my conclusion that I will be reading, and I wrote this: hate crime prevention in Clifton takes police initiative and community support. A successful plan takes commitment, dedication, resources, trust, inclusion, education, training, and support. It also takes time and careful thought and efforts. It's also important to have an overview of what works, what doesn't, and what or how can things be replaced or improved. Another key component is adapting to changes, whether in technology or in other areas, to ensure that hate crime strategies are being executed properly, appropriately, and is still relevant to times. You don't want to implement something that is outdated. And my last is my sources. I haven't finished writing the end, but this concludes my presentation. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you like my presentation on Keynote. Thank you.